Here we go. Right, I will share screen and then. Oh, sorry, iPad's gone off. Give me a moment, just the iPad has gone off. Oh, right, now call up the From somewhere we're getting a fair bit of background noise. I'm not quite sure whether it's from. Probably yes. Okay, it's stopped now. Thank you, Paula. So I'm just going to share screen. Share screen. Okay, is the screen correctly shared now? Good, thank you. So as I mentioned, I would take any questions or comments on these verses. We've been looked at some Bhagavad Gita 2:10 and 2:11. So were there any particular questions or comments from any of you? Then we can do a couple of recitations.
James, sorry, I thought we did verse 11, verse 13 of the Gita last time round. So I've got.
Did I? Oh.
About infancy, youth, and old age. The wise have no delusion about this.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I tell you what happened as I was doing my updated group email from last time round. I used the previous email from before that as a kind of template, but forgot to change the verse numbers. You're absolutely right, Chris. Thank you. So we were then it was. Yeah, so 12 and 13. So anyway, same question applies. With any questions arising out of those verses 12 and 13? So we'll have a couple of recitations, but just before we start, I will read out verse 12 slowly. Natveva hanjatu nasan natvanne me janadipaha nachaiva na bhavishyamah sarve vayamattah param. So in this, as we discussed it last time, Natvevaham jahu nasam, without sandhi here, Natuveva aham jahu na asam. We've got a double negative in the same sentence, meaning I not was not, means it was never the case that I was not. So jatu, at any time, najatu, not at any time, na asam, was I not. So there was never a time that I was not. Natwam neme janatipa. Natwam, not you. And na ime is neme janatipa. Jana adipa. That meaning the same applies to you, and the same applies to these rulers, these rulers of people. Nachaiva, and not indeed, Nachaiva nabhavishyama, and not indeed will we not be. In more idiomatic English should be, nor is it the case that we will not be at some time in the future. Sarve vayam atah param, all of us, atah param, here further, meaning from now on, from here into the future. So I think we could have a recitation of this. Barry, you happen to be first in my gallery. Would you like to do a recitation for us?
Yes, I'm a bit out of practice, and I foolishly missed the last session, but I shall have a go in spite of my
Oh, of course you did. Okay,
practice
right,
today.
good.
Okay.
Yes.
Natvevaham yajatu nasam natvam neme yanadipaha nacheva na bhavishyama sarve vayam mata param.
That's very, very good indeed. Did I detect a slight hint of a melody coming in there, Barry?
Oh, I don't know. Did I?
Yeah,
It
I,
was uh,
I
it was
did.
unconscious if I did. Perhaps I'm
I
unconsciously melodic.
I was I did detect a slight hint of a melody. I'm not quite sure whether I correctly identify behind your left shoulder. Is there a music stand with sheet music on it?
Yes, there is. Yeah, I play the flute.
Ah, right. So this may account for kind of a naturally musical approach
It,
to it.
it might indeed. Yes.
Right. Okay, thank you, Barry. How about yourself, Anne?
Okay, I'll try that tune from before. Natvevaham jatu nasam natvam neme janadipaha nachaiva navashishyama sarve vayam ataparam.
That was pretty good, Anne. So is that the standard shloka chanting melody? Because there are certain standard formats.
Well, I listened to that one of the websites where it's a woman chanting the Bhagavad Gita. So that's where I try to practice, and that's the tune that she is singing.
Okay, was that the English woman?
No, no, it's I can't remember the name of the person who sponsors it.
Right.
But it's got like a starry cosmic background,
Oh
and
no,
it
it's
is like
not the one I was thinking of. No, there is one particularly good one where there's an English woman actually, who's called Gabriella Burnell, I think her name is.
I've
Yeah,
heard of her. Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, I put up a couple of these Bhagavad Gita chanted websites in the study resources guide. But it's almost superfluous because there are so many Bhagavad Gita chants available that there's just no shortage of them. Anyway, you have learnt well, Anne. So
Trying.
you have. So what we'll do, we'll just have one more recitation, and then we'll look at the next verse that we looked at last time. Madeleine, would you like to do it for us?
Yes.
Thank you.
Na tvevaham jatu na samna tvam neme janadhipaha na chaiva na bhavishyamaha sarve vayam ataha param.
Okay, that was very good. Subject to one highly pedantic point.
Yes,
It's a very pedantic point indeed. When you were saying atah param, if this atah, as you know, if that comes at the end of a line or the end of a sentence, you do the shadow vowel ataha, ataha. But if it's immediately followed in the same line by another word,
yes,
you don't have this. So atah param.
yes,
But
yes,
it's a very pedantic minor point. And if this were from an earlier era, if this were from the Vedas and were being chanted in Vedic style, this visarga here would have almost a f sound to it. So the visarga would take on the point of articulation of the following consonants. They would say not atah param, but ataf param.
yes,
The same way as, for example, the visarga before a k comes out almost like a ch. Atah kutaha. There's the visarga going to the point in the vocal organs where the next sound follows.
yes. I
Okay.
will remember that.
Right, so let's now just briefly recap the 213. Dehinosmin yata dehi kaumarang yauvananjara tatha dehantara praptir dhirastatra namuhyati. So yata, just as, asmin dehe, in this body. Yes, welcome, Marco. Just as in this body, dehinaha, of the soul, let's use the word soul for the moment, dehina, of the soul, that's the genitive form of the consonantal declension. Kaumarang yauvananjara. There is boyhood, youth, and old age. Tata dehantara praptir. So also there is the obtaining of another deha, another body. Dhiras tatra namuhyati. The person of discernment, the person of discretion, wisdom. Tatra namuhyati is not bewildered or perplexed or deluded even. Tatra in that respect. Remember this muhyati. It's a class. It's from the root muh. It's a class for parasmaipada verb. So the present tense is not muhati but muhyati. So it means he is not bewildered, and it's the same root from which we get the triple fires in Buddhism, which in Pali are lobha, dosa, moha. In Sanskrit, lobha, dvesha, moha. So that's it, which is usually in a Buddhist context translated as delusion, lobha, doha, mosa. Sorry, lobha, dosa, moha, greed, hatred, and delusion. I'm just going to call up the iPad. Oops. These words, lobha, oops. And moha are the same in Pali and Sanskrit. Pali in the middle has dosa. That is something of a misleading word. I'll tell you why. So, misleading form, because Sanskrit has the root dvish, basically meaning to hate. And it has the verbal noun, regularly formed verbal noun, dvesha, meaning hatred or hostility, any ill will. Sanskrit also has the word dosha, basically meaning a fault. That's the underlying meaning. It's from the same root as from we get duh, as in dukkha. It's from the same root dush, to be bad or wrong. This word dosha primarily means fault, but also for those of you familiar with Ayurveda and Ayurvedic medicine, the three doshas are the three humors of the body. And if they get out of balance, that is what causes sickness. So it has that double meaning there. But the problem is both dvesha and dosha both turn up in Pali as dosa. So there's a potential misunderstanding or ambiguity there. When it's used in the standard list, lobha, dosa, moha, there represents dvesha, which means enmity, hostility, ill will. It could conceivably be misinterpreted to come from dosa, but that's just one of the things we have to put up with in Pali, is where you get words that are clearly differentiated in Sanskrit. They often turn up the same in Pali. So where are we?
Sorry, James.
Paula, please.
When you spoke about the three dosas in the Ayurvedic sense as sort of the three modes, or the three modes of the body.
I think we call them humors, actually.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
What does this word humors come from?
Come on, tell me somebody.
And the other question is, it's just an aside this. You're basically saying, by the way, the doses are also this, and it's not related at all to this fault kind of definition, correct?
Well, actually, that's what I thought until a few weeks ago, and somebody said it's actually not because the three humors are themselves faults, but that faults and difficulties can arise out of the imbalance of the humors. So they've come to be called the three faults.
Okay.
But actually, that's an interesting point. Why are they called humors? I think it's French.
It's an old medical. As in this, I never really thought where it came from, but it's an ancient medical system, way of understanding illness, the imbalance of the humors. What are they? Melancholic, sanguine. I can't remember now.
Oh, that's right. Bilious as well.
Bilious,
Melancholy bilious.
Yes.
That's
There's bilious,
right.
melancholic, and something else. But
that's right. And when they got out of balance, it was that created disease.
Yeah, it goes back to Hippocrates, I think, and
okay.
So it's probably Greek in origin. I don't know.
Well, we've got the humeur in French. Is it the umore? Do you say that in Italian, Marco? Do you know?
That would be moods, though.
Okay. In modern times, it's come to mean moods, but in older times, in old medicine, for some reason that word was attached to blood, bile, and it was melancholia, whatever that was to refer to actual substances within the body.
But black bile, the melancholia means black bile.
Oh, of course, yes.
Yeah. So there's black bile, green bile, and I can't remember. I used to know at one time.
Oh, right. I don't think it's used used much in modern medicine, is it?
No,
Oh.
I think you'd be a bit surprised if you went to a GP and said, "Oh yes, I detect definite black bile here. You're depressed. You've got melancholia."
I suppose as a psychiatrist, it's something that you might feel inclined to do occasionally.
Well, I know these things.
GP would tend not to. Okay, so and I did explain this interesting word, dehin. This is the genitive form, dehina. So a deha is a body, and a dehin is one who possesses a body. So this word here, we can often translate it as just meaning a soul, but it's more like an embodied being, a being that has a body. So yata asmin dehe, just as in this body there is supply dehina of the embodied being, boyhood, youth, and old age. Tata, just so. Yata, balancing with tata. So just as everything in line 1, tata in the same way in line 2. There is the obtaining. This is a sentence without a verb here. Just as dehantara praptihi just means body other obtaining. There is the obtaining of another body, literally. So just as the embodied spirit goes through these 3 phases in the deha, in the ordinary body, so equally a new body is obtained. Dhiras tatra namuhyati. The wise man is in no confusion or bewilderment about this.
Is that tatra? Is that the same as the word for there? Atra here, tatra there. Is that?
Sorry, is it the same word as
The tatra? I thought that meant there.
it does? Oh yes, tatra. The basic meaning of tatra is there in a spatial sense, but it's very, very frequently used meaning in that respect, on that point, in that regard.
Oh right, thank you.
And the same is done in Pali, where the Buddha will often begin a statement by saying, for using the Pali word for here, which is idha, literally means here, but idha bhikkhave, here, O monks. Here means on this point, on this respect, in this regard. But you find it very frequently used in that way in both Sanskrit and Pali. So we could have a recital of it. Shri Animala, would you like to give us a recital? Are you going to be using the Sanskrit, the
Yes,
Devanagari, or the?
I have my own Bhagavad Gita.
in Sinhala script.
No, in Devanagari.
Okay, because actually it happened yesterday at the Pali class.
Yeah, I was reciting Sinhala. It was very nice.
It was a prose piece, which is actually a little more difficult to recite.
Yeah.
It was a prose piece, and when it came to Shri Animala reciting the prose piece in Pali, from using the Roman script only, I noticed there was some stumbling and hesitation and difficulty. During the break during that class, I managed to call up on the wonderful Lexilogos multilingual keyboard the same passage in Sinhala script. And then, of course, with that, you came out entirely fluently, Shri Nimala.
Yes. Can I recite?
Is okay, yes, please go ahead now.
Dehi nosmin yata dehi kaumara yauvanam jara tata dehat tatparat tata dehan tatpara prapati dirastatvana muhyate.
Okay, this is deha. Dehantara prapti, which is
Dehantara
Dehantara prapti.
Dehantara prapti.
That's it. That's good. This prapti reference from the root up.
Prapti, yeah.
Up meaning to obtain or to get. Most often, not always, but most often used with this prefix pra. So prapta. So the getting, the obtaining. In fact, we see it turns up in the word apex. Do you say apice in Italian, Marco? The apex, the point of a triangle. Apice, apex in Latin, apex in English. Okay, so that means the point to be reached, the highest point, something that you're aiming for. It's from that same root up, meaning to get. And also the word for the Latin for wealth, if you come into English as opulent, and opulence meaning wealth, that's from that same root. Has become an optha, the idea of getting, obtaining what you have obtained. It's a root of or words with the up root are a very, very frequent occurrence. Right, so let's just have one more. Chris, would you like to have a go there?
Yeah, I won't attempt to do it musically, James.
Whichever way suits you, Chris.
I brought back memory of the fact that the teacher asked me to leave the choir when I was in primary school because
you were kicked out of the choir, were you?
I'm afraid so. So one's got to know one's limitations. Dihinosmi yata dehe kaumaram yauvanam jahra tatra.
Here it's tata. There's tatra later in the line, but at the beginning of the line it is tata.
Tata. Dehantara pratir dihinoras tatra namuyanti.
Muhyati.
Na murati.
Muhyati.
Murati.
It's the root is muh. And the H has to be distinctly pronounced as an independent freestanding syllable. So muh. And it's muhyati.
Muhyati.
That's it. And the dhira just means the wise man. It's from the root dhi, of which the original meaning is just thinking. And then, but an extended form of the root is dhya. Dhi and dhya originally was the same root. You could say dhya is an extended form. So, and this dhira then, it's the root dhi, thinking, with the use of the mind, with the adjectival suffix ra. So dhira, meaning possessing a good mind, meaning therefore a wise person. And it's from the extended form of the root dhya that we get the word dhyana, and in Pali jhana. It's all from that same origin. In fact, you find there's quite a good number of adjectives are formed just by the addition of the adjective suffix ra to the root. One that I think you'll all know is the root chand, meaning to shine or to be bright. And chandra, which is the word meaning, usually meaning a moon, is that which is bright. And this root chand turns up in Latin as well. It's the same origin as the candela, which we have in English as a candle. It's from that same root. And if you are incandescent, you know, there's light emanating from within.
James, what I do find very useful, and I'm not sort of wishing to put any more of a workload on you, is the uploads that you do on YouTube for these various verses in both the Gita and the other text. It gives me an opportunity to practice beforehand rather than coming completely cold to the session.
Do you know, this very morning, I was flagellating myself, metaphorically speaking, flagellating myself with guilt that I had not yet done it.
Oh my God.
Not only that, but I rediscovered from somewhere buried deep among my electronic documents what I called last year, in early 25, my recording task list, where I would make a note of where we were with all of the texts, whether I was fallen behind or how far I had fallen behind with the YouTube videos that I needed to make. That guilt is now was resurfacing, but now, Chris, you have left me. You have publicly left me with no place to hide. I better get on with it.
I think that you're doing a Herculean job of all this stuff anyway, James. I didn't wish to sort of add to your burdens.
Oh yes, you did, and rightly so. Rightly so. I'm the best way to spoil, say, a child. So you don't need to bother to get it right. Don't need to work hard. In fact, you are doing me a service. It might not appear like it at this moment, but you are doing not only me, but all of you a service by telling me to get on with it, which I will accept. I accept that instruction. And it was meant very kindly, and it will be beneficial.
Well, it's to get me out of the hole more than you, James.
I will get on with it. Honest God, I will. Right.
But I find if I repeat it, I don't know, 20 or so times, sooner or later, having listened carefully to your recitation, sooner or later, the cadence of it seems to fall into place, and I can do it with a bit more confidence.
Right. I only wish I was better at chanting. I don't have the distinction that you had, Chris, of having been booted out of the choir, but I was never given a leading role. I was always told to stand at the back in my choir at school. Also, as for my musical abilities, actually, I was going to take my grade 1 piano exam at the age of 13, but I had to go to hospital to have a tonsillectomy instead, and that basically was the end of it. I never went back to it. It is my loss. I appreciate that, but there we are. So you could rely on me for the grammar and the linguistic analysis and all of the chants that you get on YouTube, including the gorgeous Gabriella.
Oh yes.
For example, and my recommendation would be, first of all, master it linguistically, and once that's in your mind, then kind of listen to the chants and start hopefully even repeating the chants, copying the chants. Right. So, Kath, we're round to you.
Dehinosmin yatha dehi kaumarang yauvananjara tatha dehantarapraptir dhirastatra namuhyati.
Wonderful. That was wonderful as always, Kath. And also you will find that if you're chanting it according to a rhythm, the words tend to come out right as well. If you're just reciting it as prose, you'll often stumble over things. But if you're chanting it, you get into the this kind of deep physical flow of the rhythm, and that tends to make the language come out more correctly as well. Okay, right. So just Marco, and then we'll move on to the Bodhicharyavatara. So, avanti maestro, as they say.
Thank you. Dehinosmi yata dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tata dehantara praptihi dirastatra namuhyati.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. So, having completed that, then we can move on to the next part of the Bodhicharyavatara. Let me call him up. I hope I didn't make a mistake about this as well. Chris, you would have spotted if I did. I hope I put ourselves on the correct verse now, verse 33. Is that the next one we should be doing? I think it is.
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay, right. So tasmad amitram mitram va drishtva pyanyaya karinam idrishaha pratyaya asyetyevam matva sukhi bhavet. And again, tasmad amitram mitram va drishtva pyanyaya karinam idrisha pratyaya syetyevam matva sukhi bhavet. So, tasmad, tasmat is the ablative form of the tat to tad, from that, meaning therefore. Mitram amitram va drishtva pyanyaya karinam. So drishtva, having seen or on seeing, drishtvapi, even if you see them, drishtva even on seeing them, on seeing whom, an amitram mitram va, an enemy or a friend. So even when you see an enemy so even upon seeing an enemy or a friend, anyaya karinam, doing, we could roughly translate it as wrong. This karinam, from the root kri, verbal noun kara. So a karin is a doer of something, and this is the masculine singular accusative form karinam. So anyaya karinam, doing an anyaya. This nyaya, it's got a very interesting history, this word. If I just, anyaya, wrongful act, but there's more to it than that. Those of you who do chanting in Pali, in the Itipiso chant, the third section of that chant, first is Itipiso, the second one is the Swakato, and the third section is Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho. Ujupatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho, and then Nyaya Patipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho. That's the same Nyaya. So the Nyaya there is the same in Sanskrit and Pali, save that in Pali it's written as the N with the tilde, whereas in Sanskrit it's the N and the Y are two separate consonants there. It's an interesting word. So it's not just nyaya, sometimes being translated as a rule. and an anyaya is something that is not in accordance with nyaya. It's from the root I, meaning to go. With the prefix a, it means to come, just like gum to go, agum to come.
Are you on your iPad, James?
I'm not actually, no.
Okay.
No, I was actually, what I can do, I can even, oops, sorry, what am I doing here? I'll even pause the sharing for the moment. Root E, to go, which we all know. With the prefix a, it reverses the motion, so to come. So a plus e becomes, okay, it becomes a. But here we have the verbal noun from e, which is aya. And this is a plus aya is aya. So an aya would mean a coming. There are several words where the prefix a reverses the motion. For example, the root, this prefix a normally has a kind of, it can mean towards, it has some dynamic sense of dynamic movement. But with certain verbs of motion or implied motion, it reverses the direction. Like da to give, ada to take, gum to go, agum to come. Similarly with aya, coming. Now with the prefix, the second prefix, it's ni, a, aya. The prefix ni here meaning into. So what you come into, what you come back into, what you, and by extension, it's what you morally fall back on. It's a bit, it's something like a moral compass. It's not just a rule, as in a set of rules, like the 200 and whatever it is rules in the Vinaya that the monks have to follow. It's more of like a basic sense, a really basic sense, of right and wrong at a much deeper level than rules. It's kind of basic sense of morality is the nyaya. So an anyaya means not just a breach of a rule, but something that is morally wrong. So if you see, therefore, drishtvāpi, even having seen, here we could translate in idiomatic English, if you see a friend, even if you witness an enemy or a friend, anyaya karanam, committing an anyaya, committing a morally wrongful act. Idrisha pratyaya asyetyevam matva sukhi bhavet. Sukhi bhavet, you could still be happy about it, or still be not upset about it, but literally, sukhi bhavet, one might still be happy. Matva, thinking what? Idrisha pratya asya iti. Idrisha means of this kind, similar, how I translate it here. Idrisha, yeah, such like conditioning factors, similar factors, these kinds of factors, asya, of him, which is just, there's no verb there, idrisha pratyaya asya, these factors of him, meaning he has these factors. He is also operating under the influence of these factors. So such like factors or conditions, asya, of him. Iti evam matva. This is a bit of a pleonasm here, because the iti evam mean pretty much the same thing here, thus. So he is suffering from these same conditioning factors, unquote, thus thinking, evam matva, sukhi bhavet. One could still be happy. This matva, it's from our root man. Sorry, I'll reshare. I'll share screen again. Sorry, come on, share. Okay, is it back with you now? The shared screen. Okay. So matwa, we would have expected in a fully regular verb to see mantwa, because it's from the root man, meaning to think. The same origin as our root mind and the Latin mens, mentis. It's just in the absolutive, in fact, in the past participle as well. If it were a regular verb, you'd expect to see past participle manta, but it becomes mata. And similarly, the absolutive form is not mantwa, but matwa. So thinking thus, that he too is suffering from these same pratyaya, these same conditioning factors that are causing him to act in that way. Sukhi bhavet, one may be happy. Thinking of this man in the mind, mens mentis, lamente, is lamen, it's feminine in Italian, Marco, lamente. It was only quite recently that I began to appreciate the beautiful force of the Italian word for forget, dimenticare, you see. So you've got lamente is the mind, to dimenticare means something as you lost something out of your mind. I think I'd like to have this verb in English, you know. I will try and introduce to dementicate something. It would be a wonderful verb to have in English, but sadly we don't have it.
Yeah.
We have also rammentare, which is to recollect.
Oh, rammentare, to bring back to la mente. I'd forgotten rammentare. And does that mean to remember? How would you use rammentare in Italian?
When you forgot something and then it comes up to your mind before it's too late.
Yeah. Does it have the same meaning of ricordare, ricordarsi?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But it involves mente again. Yes.
Again, yes, it does. Yes.
But James, dementare, did you say? It's very close to dementia.
It's the same word. Essentially, it's from that same root. Dementia is when you are losing your cognitive factor. Basically, you're unminding yourself. You're losing your mind. That's it's all that same word.
Yeah.
Mm. So here we have the verse. We've been through most of the detail now. Is there anybody who has any question or comment on it?
Just a quick comment, James. It's what it put me in mind of, and I think I'm correct in saying it was Napoleon who said that never interrupt your enemy when he's in the process of committing a wrongful act or an error. But he meant it, of course, in terms of a tactical error, as opposed to.
That's right. That's right. A wonderful quote from Napoleon. That yes. Never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake.
Yes. And you would, of course, be happy about it.
Indeed, yes. That was for of course, the purely strategic motives, military and strategic motives that Napoleon had. I don't think Napoleon had got into that depth with the profound moral philosophy of the. So, are you all okay with this convoluted bit? Pritya asyeti. asya just means of him. You see, idrisha pratya asya, such like conditioning factors of him, is just an idiomatic Sanskrit way of saying he has such conditioning factors. It's just like it's using, so just say of him without any verb has the same, effectively the same meaning as to have.
James, is there any,
Paula.
hello, is there any kind of intelligence or depth behind the word mitram as in friend? I mean, is there something, I mean, is it made up of some, what's the root, where does it come from, the word?
Ah, yes, mitram. It ultimately comes from a word meaning with, or being with somebody, and your mitra is the person that you want to be with. And it has come through the Germanic line. In German, it's the same origin actually as the German word mit, meaning with. And for example, it's come into English as midwife. So when the prefix mid in English, normally it's traceable back to the Latin medium and so on, so middle. But this particular one, midwife, it has the meaning of with. So midwife is the person who is with the woman when she is giving birth. So that's the understanding of midwife. And also, it has an aspirate and as mit and mit. It's both. Also, the word maituna, which means sexual intercourse, just being with somebody, is from that same root. And curiously enough, maituna has come into English in that as mating. So the mate, mitra and mate in English are from the same word, and the verb mating, typically applied to animals, is a direct reflection of the maituna in Sanskrit.
Sanskrit, in Sanskrit, there's a word called maituna, which is intercourse.
So maituna, that's right, yes, yeah.
Okay.
Maituna. Now, you've all heard of metta, in the Pali word metta, which is the word typically translated as loving kindness, so that's not a terribly good translation, really. It's more like a feeling of goodwill, universal feeling of goodwill. As a matter of interest, Marco, how would you normally translate metta, Sanskrit maitreya, into Italian?
Sometimes amorevolezza.
Amorevolezza, okay.
Loving thought.
Yes.
Some connects it to matra, mother. Other academics, they say that it's more correct to connect it to mitra, friend. So
okay, right.
I'm not sure about.
Yeah.
Usually in the text, it is explained as the feeling of a mother for the single child. So maybe it's more than just loving friendship.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting. Yes, I remember some time ago, I have seen the theory put forward that it's from mata, mother. I think if you look at from a purely academic, rigid way, it's more likely to be related to mitra rather than mata. But there are a number of these false etymologies, called them false etymologies, not academically sustainable, that actually are still worth looking at. And the reason they're worth looking at is because this meaning might have been in the minds of the native speakers of the language at the time. It's quite possible that the native speakers might simultaneously have had these background meanings, both of Mitra and of Mata, when using the word Maitreya. So even though that might be, scientifically, technically wrong, it's still worth knowing about it because it's something that would have affected the way that the native speakers saw that word. So not just ordinary amorevolezza, a feeling of benevolence, of amicable thoughts, but enhanced by the how a mother will love her only child. We have it in the Karaniya Metta Sutta. Mata yatha niyam puttameka puttam anurakhe, just as a mother will protect all of her life, her eka puttam, her only child. So we have sorry, I'll be right back to you then, Chris. So from Mitra, we have an abstract noun, in fact, two abstract nouns. One is Maitri and the other is Maitriya. So the Sanskrit is the Sanskrit form Maitreya, which is just the abstract noun from Mitra, then phonetically mutates into Pali's Metta. So Maitreya, Sanskrit Metta in Pali. Sorry, Chris. Yes, please.
Yeah, sorry, it's just a quick one. It's just that I've recently come across something which makes a great deal of sense to me in terms of forgiveness, because basically it's saying that forgiveness is really a question of no longer bearing ill will to those that have dealt out bad behavior,
yes,
or in some way cause one offence or hurt. It's that capacity to no longer bear ill will towards those that have done you wrong, so to speak. Because I've always confused that forgiveness with being really suggesting that you might want to be socially connected again with those parties, which that's not forgiveness, that's reconciliation. And I've always had difficulty until recently anyway, making that distinction. But it does seem to be, you can forgive by no longer bearing ill will towards the parties that have caused you injury.
Well, I would absolutely agree with you, but I will also add that there are layers of complication there. Because I remember at a Buddhist group I was in some years back, actually, and we were having a discussion where the word forgiveness came up. In English, we weren't using Pali or Sanskrit then. And we realized actually what a very unsatisfactory word it is, because it has some distinctly different tones in English. You can forgive in the sense of an amnesty, legal, like an amnesty, which literally is for forgetting about it. You can forgive by no longer bearing ill will.
Yes.
You might not have had any really much ill will to start with, or you can forgive somebody by saying, well, I think it's a completely trivial act. I don't really care anyway. So the word itself has these certain differing tones, which, as so often happens in our language, we think we know what we're saying when we use a word. If you go into it, it's got different shades of meaning. Now, in the pujas in Pali, when there's the confession of faults, they say all of these things that I have done, kayena, vacha, and so on, these faults, these transgressions of body, speech, and mind. He goes on to say kama me bhante. In Sanskrit would be kshama me bhante. Kshama me, translated as forgive. But the kshama, from the root ksham, which is the title of the chapter in the Bodhicharyavatara that we're studying now. It's the chapter on kshanti. So root ksham, verbal noun, kshanti, verb kshamati. So kshama is just the imperative form of the verb. If you look at how kshanti, I should say, is characterized in this chapter, it's more a kind of acceptance of what's done to you, as if you don't react to the ill that's being done. So there's no ill will in the first place. You just react to you don't react. Things can be done to you and it has no effect on you. So when you say kamame bhante, it's not quite forgive. Forgiveness suggests that there was a period you did the act, you were in a certain state as other people regarded you, and then forgiveness came. Very much in the Roman Catholic Church in which I was brought up. You see, you committed a sin, you were in a state of sin, you went to confession, and then the absolute deinde de ego te absolvo e peccatis tuis. At that moment, you see, I still remember the Latin from when I was a youngster. It was at that moment that you got forgiveness.
Can I just add to that you can use forgiveness, forgive in the sense of, like in art, it's a very forgiving medium.
Exactly so.
It doesn't react badly to be mistreated. That sort of.
Exactly so.
Yeah.
You find certain media that are forgiving and some that are not so forgiving. If you're a metal worker, you tend to find that metal is not a very forgiving medium. But if, like me, you're an amateur woodworker, you find that wood is a very forgiving medium. Forgiving in the sense if you muck something up, it's usually not too difficult to put it right again. And also another thing on not bearing ill will, coming back to Chris's point, is that if you got in confession in the Roman Catholic Church, you had your absolution or forgiveness, as we will call it. Are we suggesting that God was having ill will towards you? Is that suggestion being made? Here it's just you're let off your punishment. But anyway, we're hardly going to say that God is giving you an amnesty, because amnesty means amnesia, forgetting something, and that suggests either interpretation would suggest either that God forgets things or that God bears ill will. So which might be doctrinally problematic in the Catholic Church.
Yes.
May I ask you if it's the same thing? For instance, in Italian, in the Neo-Latin languages, we have perdono, which is exactly the same. For per, and dono is to give. But
that's right.
I thought that, for instance, it was because when there was a fight between a king and a prince of a different kingdom, in order to have the whole thing forgotten and reestablished peace, you had to give a gift in order to reconcile.
So a mutual giving of gifts as a kind of symbolic reconciliation. I hadn't thought. That's a very interesting. I'm going to do a little bit more research on this one. So is to forgive, forgive, perdono. We can see the words are constructed in the same way.
Maybe something more about your studies of law, like in the medieval or in the Roman law. There must be something.
We didn't do much of that in English law, but forgive, just as it has no other extended meanings in law. We don't. If you have committed a crime, as a matter of law, we would say you are pardoned as a matter of English law. However, also it is an English law term, because if somebody owes you money, then in English legal terms, you talk about forgiving the debt. if you forgive a debt, means okay, you no longer owe me the money. Don't pay anything. We're quits. So we have this yes, even more meanings than I thought when the word first came up.
But James, I have a question, please. Does what I've seen most usually as the name of this paramita is forbearance.
The kshanti, the kshanti paramita.
Yeah, is that? I mean, forgiveness is not all that different, but I mean, is.
Yeah, it's translated. You're absolutely right, Paula. There, the kshanti is often translated as forbearance. And we just do some more research into that as well. But again, here, what do we really mean? It's a word. Forbearance is something that is a word that's very little used in modern English. But it basically, I think the feeling that it has for me is that you're not reacting with hostility or anger to what is done to you. Used in that sense, then it would be very similar to kshanti, because kshanti, the word is normally translated as patience. That's the normal translation of the word. So patience, if you go back from the Latin word, patior, meaning to it means suffering. So patience is it's almost like suffering in silence, not reacting. Forbearance has a little bit of that meaning. Kshanti, I detect, has that same kind of meaning. So for example, if you're in a long queue somewhere waiting to be served, and you said, right, I must be patient, again, that's not quite kshanti. It's just not get irritated by being kept waiting. Yeah, maybe kind of kshanti. But this really does show us how we can get even subtly misled by what we think a word means and by the other resonating meanings of that word.
James, I read the translation once as bearing it. So related to not reacting, but bearing it has a more like a somatic implication where even if it's painful, you're bearing it.
That's right. Yeah, that does very much have that same meaning, because something has been put on you that you don't like, either mentally or in this imagery physically, and you just carry it. You don't throw it off. You don't react to it. If it's been put on you, it's put on you, and then that's that. And we talk about bearing your cross, or carrying your cross in Christian imagery.
Or even if they're cutting off your limbs. That's what I read as a Buddhist example.
That's right. That's the imagery from the sutta of the saw. Is it what's it called? Katcha sutta, Katchupupama sutta. Where even if the bandits are sawing off your limbs with a big double-handed timber saw, if you bear them any ill will, then you are not my disciple. I was talking to a monk, an English Theravada monk, about that particular point, because we were talking about self-defense and sometimes when it's correct and right to use violence. And he was saying that there's no incompatibility there. That yes, it's perfectly legitimate to defend yourself and indeed other people. And, it can be perfectly legitimate to use of violence as necessary to defend yourself and other people. But the use of violent force for legitimate defense is a completely separate thing from ill will. So the monk, you see, or the more advanced person, yes, he will be able to use whatever force is necessary to avert the danger, but without any ill will, you see. And indeed, it was the wandering monks who developed the martial arts, because they didn't want to kill those who attacked them, but they became very skilled at self-defense without weapons. I mean, legend has it that that's how the martial arts originally developed.
Bodhidharma.
Mm-hmm.
Bodhidharma, yes.
And that was the old Bodhidharma. Did he develop the martial arts as well, Bodhidharma?
Yes, he's not the founder of the Shaolin temple in China, but he was the one who brought the martial arts in China, according to the legend. And it's the cradle of all the martial arts, Kung Fu or Japanese. They came from Chan, Zen. They came from that very place.
Well, that's interesting. Thank you, Marco. I had not known that the martial arts had been associated with Bodhidharma. So there we are, a man of a great enlightenment himself, also a developer of these arts. So I'm going to have to leave fairly promptly, and within a few minutes after 3. So with any more queries arising out of this verse?
It's a bit strange that the verse says also a not friend, because I understand that I don't have to get upset by a friend behaving wrongly, possibly to me, because it's under causes and circumstances. But it doesn't help a lot with an enemy, because usually we don't have this kind of understanding for enemies. We try to have a reconciliation attitude to friends.
Yes, yeah. No, I take your point. Maybe mitra is intended to be used in a broader sense there. There's people that you regard as part of your community, people you're all right having around you, not necessarily the closeness of a friend, but the mitra, the people you regard as being part of your group, even part of your city. And remember, mitra here means a non-friend. It doesn't mean somebody who is not particularly your friend. It actually has the actual meaning of enemy. And indeed, that is where we get our English word enemy. We have amicus in Latin. And if you negate the word, the in amicus becomes by vowel mutation inimicus. So the inimicus is your non-friend, but it actually means enemy. In fact, our English word enemy derives directly from the Latin inimicus. So you got inimigo, amigo, and inimigo in Spanish. It's just nemico, isn't it, in Italian?
Yes, thank you for bringing it to mind.
Right, so nemico, the Italian has lost the first vowel. So from inimicus, in modern Italian, it's lost the first vowel, changes the e to a nemico, the unfriend, the non-friend. So here is an example we're all using in our own language. That a non-friend is positively enemy.
And we have the word inimical as well, don't we?
Exactly so, yes. There's just from... So that's right, which is closer to the Latin. If something is inimical to something, it means it positively counteracts it. So you can have inimical and direct meaning direct sense of hostile, or just something that is, say, the consumption of 10 Mars bars a day would be inimical to your attempt to lose weight, for example. Okay, should we just have one more recitation then? And I'm afraid I've got to go because I've got a meeting quite soon after this. So, would you like to give us a recitation, Marco, please?
Yes. Tasmat mitram va drastvapi anyan yakarinam idrsha pratyaya asyeti evam matva sukhi bhavet.
Okay, great. Thank you. So we'll better wind up there, and I will see you hopefully in 2 weeks' time then, and some of you, of course, for Pali earlier than that.
Thank you, James.
Okay, thank you all very much. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you,
Thank you.
James.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you.
you next
Bye.
time.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye all.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye now.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.